Betrayal is only happened with someone close to you. I used to believe that friendship, real friendship, could survive anything. That when life threw storms at you, your friends would be the ones holding the umbrella next to you, not poking holes in it. That belief died the night I realized my best friend, Jessica, was smiling at my misfortune like it was a movie she bought tickets to watch. It started subtly, like most betrayals do. We met years ago when we were both new hires at a local marketing agency. I'd just moved from Seattle to Denver, hungry for a fresh start, and she was the first person who invited me for coffee. She was vibrant, funny, and unfiltered, the kind of person who could make friends in a checkout line. We clicked instantly. She called me her sister from another mister within a week, and I stupidly let her in. We went everywhere together. Brunches, weekend hikes, movie nights. When I got my first big promotion, she was the loudest voice cheering. When she went through a breakup, I was the one bringing ice cream and wine. It felt mutual until I started noticing little things. When I bought a new dress, she'd say, "Oh, you're brave for trying that color." When I shared my goals, she'd laugh and call them ambitious. When I dated someone, she'd find some flaw to point out. I used to brush it off as her personality. A little blunt, a little jealous maybe, but still a friend. Then came Ethan. Ethan and I met through a mutual friend at a rooftop dinner party. He was warm, grounded, and genuinely funny. Not in the loud, performative way most people are at social events, but in that soft, attentive way that made you feel seen. Jessica was there that night, too. She was the one who nudged me toward him. Actually, "He's totally your type," she'd whispered. And for a while, everything felt like a dream. Ethan and I clicked effortlessly. He adored my sarcastic humor, loved my cooking, and supported my career goals in ways that made me feel safe and inspired. After a few months, we were inseparable. Jessica, of course, was always around, third-wheeling, jokingly calling herself our official chaperone. But then she started making strange comments. "You two are so cute, but don't you think you moved in kind of fast?" Or, if I didn't know you, I'd think you were trying too hard to impress him. They were small cuts, almost unnoticeable. But over time, they added up. She'd accidentally forget to invite me to hangouts with mutual friends. She'd post group selfies with captions like "the real ones always stay" when I wasn't there. And somehow, whenever I confronted her, she'd twist it into me being too sensitive. I tried to let it go. I had a good relationship, a growing career, and more important things to focus on. But one Saturday afternoon changed everything. I had plans with Jessica, a girls' day out she'd suggested. We were supposed to meet at a cafe downtown. I arrived early, grabbed us a table by the window, and texted her. No response. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Finally, I called. It rang a few times before she answered, sounding flustered. "Oh my God, I totally forgot. I'm so sorry. Ethan needed help picking something up for your surprise later." My surprise? That was new. I didn't think much of it until later that night when I FaceTimed Ethan and he looked confused. Surprise? What surprise? That was the first red flag I couldn't ignore. So I started paying attention. A week later, Ethan told me he had to work late. I didn't question it until I saw Jessica's Instagram story that night. It was a boomerang of 2 wine glasses clinking, captioned "much-needed midweek therapy." The lighting looked familiar. The bar Ethan and I always went to after work. My stomach twisted. I told myself it could be coincidence. Maybe she met someone else there. But the next day, Ethan mentioned running into Jessica at the same place, claiming they just caught up for a bit. When I asked him why he hadn't mentioned it the night before, he said, "It slipped my mind." And that's when I felt the first real fracture. Over the next few weeks, they seemed to orbit closer and closer. Inside jokes, subtle touches, whispered comments. If I questioned it, they'd both act like I was being paranoid. Until one evening when everything fell apart. It was a Friday night. I'd planned a small get-together at my apartment. Just close friends, some wine, easy music. Jessica and Ethan were both there, laughing too loudly together, leaning in a little too close. I watched them from across the room, my smile frozen like a mask. Then, while I was in the kitchen refilling snacks, I heard them. Her voice, low, teasing. His nervous laughter. Then, the unmistakable sound of a kiss. I dropped the wine glass in my hand. The sound shattered the room, and with it, something inside me broke too. When I walked back into the living room, they were standing apart, eyes wide, faces pale. Jessica stammered something about a misunderstanding, and Ethan started apologizing, words tumbling over themselves like a bad script. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just looked at them, both of them, and said, "Get out." And they did. The following weeks were a blur. Friends picked sides. Some whispered that I'd overreacted, that it was just one kiss. Others avoided me completely. Jessica, of course, spun her own version of events, claiming Ethan had been unhappy for months, that I'd been distant, cold, career-obsessed, and she played the victim perfectly. Her social media filled with cryptic posts about toxic people who can't handle honesty. She even started dating Ethan publicly, barely a month later. The betrayal stung, but what hurt most was watching people believe her. That was when I decided I wasn't going to let her rewrite my story. Not this time. I spent weeks observing from the sidelines, quietly collecting pieces of the truth. Screenshots of texts, old messages, recordings of her gossiping about others, proof of her two-faced charm. Then fate handed me an opportunity. Our mutual friend, Megan, was hosting her birthday dinner, a fancy gathering at a high-end restaurant downtown. Almost everyone from our circle would be there, including Jessica and Ethan. When Megan sent me the invite, she hesitated. "I understand if you don't want to come," she'd said softly. "But maybe it's time?" Oh, it was time. Not for reconciliation, for revelation. I smiled, accepting the invitation. "I'll be there." That night, as I looked at myself in the mirror, wearing a black dress that fit like confidence, I felt something shift. I wasn't broken anymore. I was focused. If Jessica wanted to play games in public, then that's exactly where she'd lose. And by the end of that dinner, everyone would finally see who she truly was. The restaurant was upscale. Velvet booths, soft jazz, chandeliers glowing like champagne bubbles. I was the last to arrive. When I walked in, every head turned. Jessica's smile was tight and brittle. Ethan looked uneasy. "Oh my God," she said. "You came. I wasn't sure if you'd want to." I smiled. Why wouldn't I? We made small talk. She performed for attention. I waited. When dessert wine came, I tapped my glass. "I just wanted to say something," I began. "It's been an interesting few months." The table quieted. I realized recently that sometimes the people who smile with you are the same ones who celebrate when you fall. Jessica shifted. "What are you talking about?" "Oh, just patterns," I said, "like when someone pretends to be your friend while sleeping with your fiancé, then lies about it." The table froze. "That's not," she began. I pulled out my phone. "Oh, but it is." I hit play. Her recorded voice filled the room. "She's so oblivious, it's almost funny. She really thought he wanted to marry her. Poor thing." Then laughter. The silence that followed was deafening. Megan spoke first. "You told us she made it up." Jessica stammered. Ethan covered his face. "Stop, Jess," he muttered. "Just stop." He turned to me. "I'm sorry, you didn't deserve this." "You're right," I said. "I didn't." Then Megan said sharply, "You should go. Both of you." Jessica grabbed her purse, trembling, and stormed out. Ethan followed. After the door shut, Megan squeezed my hand. "You handled that better than anyone else would have." I smiled faintly. The truth always handles itself eventually. After that night, word spread fast. Jessica lost her reputation. Her fake charm crumbled. Ethan tried to apologize again. I ignored him. Forgiveness wasn't the point. Peace was. Weeks later, I saw Jessica alone at a cafe. No crowd, no confidence. She looked up, saw me, then looked down. I walked past her without a word. Because by then, she'd already lost the one thing she valued most, her audience. That dinner didn't just end a toxic friendship. It reminded me of something deeper. Silence doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes the most devastating revenge isn't screaming or fighting. It's sitting across from your betrayer, calm and unshaken, while their own words destroy them in front of everyone they tried to impress. And as I walked out that night, heels clicking against marble, I realized something else. You don't need to scream for justice. You just need to know you were right. Like and subscribe. Share if this happened to you or someone you know.